In your own words, when you hear the word diabetes, what do you think of?
Well, I tell you, I didn't really know the person more than what I had heard years ago. We used to call it, I think, years ago they called it dropsy, I think.
Really?
Yes. So my hands were burning. I didn't know what. And I was eating a lot of sweets at the time. So I found it was a doctor, told my head sugar, and I said, I never had it. But my mother had it years ago. She only took the pill. She couldn't eat pork. Now the sweets didn't bother her too much, but she couldn't eat pork.
What do you think, Marquita?
What I thought of was basically because of my grandmother that you couldn't eat sweets. And you had to limit them so much, and that you were going to have to get a needle and take a shot. And I was always terrified of needles, so it was frightening.
So you kind of think of the shots or the. So do you have diabetes?
Yes.
Okay, and how long have you had it?
2 years ago, and which is not unusual.
Now, how you doing?
Well, I guess fair. My toes at night, the skin things, they twinkle and pain in them in my hand. I guess that's diabetes. But just certain things I eat, I guess.
Did you ever hear anyone talk about neuropathy?
Neuropathy, no. I don't think so. What is neuropathy?
Nerve damage?
Oh, I've heard of nerve damage. They even call it neuropathy.
Neuropathy or nerve damage?
And this is from diabetes.
And that's from diabetes?
Yes. And that might be what the tingling or burning is.
Yes.
Pain, sometimes.
That's right. Sometimes it's worse than others.
She was never able to grasp it because considering mother's will be 84 this November, so we're never sure what's a symptom of the diabetes and what is a condition of something else that she might have had. And people, the medical professionals in this area do not detail anything to you. They give you pills and don't tell you why.
So you haven't had some real education or someone who's really talked to you?
No.
So what do you know about taking care of your diet?
Well, I know I try to eat a basic and not too much sweets and pork and things like that. But other than that, it's not, too much. I know I eat oatmeal in the wintertime and grits sometimes. But now like I said, if I eat kind of like you playing it right, I don't have that much problem. But when I have it, it bothers me, And my hands get stiff, so that's part of arthritis too.
And do you take some medicine?
Yes, I'm triggered for medicine. I don't know what it's all.
Medicine for the diabetes too?
Yes.
Okay.
I Kemper, yes, it's for my diabetes.
Okay.
I take a 4 milligram a day.
And so what do you think causes the diabetes?
I really don't know, unless it's hard work. I really don't know.
Have you had your life full of hard work?
Yes.
Well, as soon as you work hard, you should get something
That's
like that, right?
That's right.
You're asking about what causes it. And you can't say that it's you think that it draws. So many people end up they're obese, and I think that might be part of the lack of exercise and lack of activities. I think that causes it because I was studying because I was diagnosed with cancer a few years back, and that stopped me from being active. And I think maybe that brought it on, but then it's also something in our families.
So do you have diabetes also? Okay, and how long have you been diagnosed?
For the last year.
Okay, so pretty recently. Both of you about the same,
Yes.
close together.
And all of my other siblings, they had it years ago. My sister, you said, oh, he been in Louis about like that. She's the only one that's smaller than my brother. 2 two brothers live in the West. Both of them had it now.
So you think there's things in the community that might cause
Well,
people
I
to
don't
have
know,
it?
because we were away for so long. I was away for so long. It could be because a lot of people have diabetes. The air, you mean, where it's coming from?
Maybe the food sources, everything you don't know.
Because most of the people in the South grow that food. Well, not now, but they grow it.
Well, what do you think is the most important thing that people who have the disease need to do to keep it under control?
Watch their diet and make sure they're eating the right thing, not too much seasoning. I don't put too much seasoning in my food now.
Do you do a lot of home cooking?
Well, I'm slowing down. Yes, I did.
Somebody in the house is always cooking something.
Is that right?
Yes.
Have you all lived together?
This was
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So who
No,
does
thank you.
who does the cooking?
Yeah, but
You take turns, or
now we do, but I did most of the cooking. Yes.
and do you kind of plan out your meals ahead of time?
I have 3 sons and a granddaughter, so it has to be a balanced meal.
They have vegetables every day.
And very rarely we don't have a vegetable.
This is growing season, so do y'all have a garden?
Not this year.
No
Couldn't
garden.
make it, I couldn't.
Huh? In the past, have you?
Oh, yes.
Oh, definitely, yes. Fresh tomatoes, fresh watermelons, fresh peppers, peas, quite a bit of corn periodically. If we didn't do it, someone in the neighborhood didn't share.
What about, is there a farmer's market here?
Yes, there is, and I usually go to one, but I go to the one in
On
Philadelphia and Macon.
Oh, Philadelphia or Macon, so it's not actually in this
Now,
town.
there's one here, but it's not active.
Okay,
It's not as active. They do it a couple of times a year, but
not
every weekend.
not every weekend or something, okay. Do you think family plays important roles in the way you take care of yourself?
Definitely,
Yes.
definitely.
In what ways?
Well, every home, their mother, most of the men came from our neighborhood. You know, women came in. They don't do like, every family don't cook alike. They don't raise their children alike. Certain things they eat.
And like you were saying, this family play a part with my middle child now is majoring in sports kinesiology. So he's got me where I'm monitoring my diet and my exercise much better than I have previously. Because as heavy as I am right now, I have dropped at least 4 dress sizes, and I've still got a ways to go, but I feel
That's
that's a
excellent.
process.
So you've lost a fair amount of weight now since you were diagnosed.
She lost her kind of fast and kind of scared me. But I guess she had had a surgery.
He's gotten on me. Then it made me go on nothing but vegetables and not meats, but protein supplements and things of that nature for about 3-4 months, and it just dropped off.
So your son is taking care of you.
He's advising. He's very advising. He's advising, but he's definitely making me monitor what I'm doing.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how families take care of each other and how important that really can be. You said that you kind of plan ahead now when you're going shopping. So are you reading labels as well?
Much more conscious of labels, much more conscious of salts and sugars that are in the food, because I didn't realize there was so much sugar in things that you taste that you don't taste it.
Exactly.
And that was just amazing to me. And I didn't realize that certain fruits, even though they're not full of carbohydrates, they're full of acids, and some of these things can cause the sugar to go. Mother can't do citruses, and and I didn't realize that pineapples was a citrus until recently. So I was like, okay, that's new. So I think you become more informed.
So you're still learning a lot.
Yes.
When you were diagnosed, did you get some education?
Very little. Very little. I started reading for myself. but that was provided now. They give you one little pamphlet and you're supposed to read that, and that's supposed to give you all the answers, and it doesn't. Because you have to realize each individual is just that, they're an individual. So what's good for me may not be good for somebody else. Example, just the medication alone. I'm on 2,000 units of metformin a day. That's that by itself. Then I'm taking an Actimed Plus, which is an additional 500 milligrams of metformin, and this other medication that's in it. And then Mother's only taking she's only taking 4 units. I'm taking 1,000 milligrams at one time, and I'm like, and it really has regulated it, because my sugar got out of control for a couple of months. My sugar was, every time I took it, it was anywhere between 300 and 500. And now it is hovering at 130, which for me is excellent.
Excellent, yeah. Well, and I think you raise a really good point that, even though in the same family, you can't just take each other's medicine.
Oh no.
You have to really, we're all a little different, aren't we? Yeah, that's a really important point. Now, do you think there's things that friends or neighbors can do to help support people living with diabetes?
If they know it, I think that there are things. For example, now my sons who love cakes, we don't do them like we used to. My mother is, everybody, whenever they come to our house, it's sweet potato pies. But we've learned things and ways that you can prepare some of these sweets without natural sugar. I've become a Splenda-aholic because that's completely different than what the sugar intake is. Well, they told me it was, so I'm going to believe them for right now.
Well, if your blood sugars are showing good,
Yes,
then
it has.
that can give you some confidence.
Go back.
Yeah.
Go back.
What, are you working now? Okay, so you're home.
Oh, yes.
And what do you think, there's an awful lot of young, there's an awful lot of young people, children and young people who are gaining quite a bit of weight at a very young age. Do you see that in your neighborhood?
It's scary because the size I am now is far on average what you see in 8th and 9th grader right now. And it's scary to me because when I was coming up, children looked like children, they didn't look like grown women. And I think that's contributing to a lot of our other problems.
We call it junk food, like potato chips, little candies right now, and pop.
And so one of the things I'm trying to understand a little bit better is what can people in the community do to make a difference?
I don't
Any
know.
ideas?
They would have a group and discussion. Call in as a discussion because we have club meetings, we have our missions and our Bible class. Have a discussion on food
In your church?
Yes, the church is pretty much a community
Gathering place for everybody. See, we don't seem to have the programs that are available in more metropolitan communities where you would have a diabetes training center, or you would have people that could come out and do that. Well, maybe that's when we get to ask people to come out and teach us and provide resources by just having the people there. Another thing is, like you said about community activities, we had a function at our church a couple of weeks ago. Any other time we would have had cakes and sugar this and sugar that and sugar this, and instead we had a salad bar. Because the girls like, we all gaining all this weight. Okay, then let's change the way we eat. Let's change what we're serving. Because if we're gaining it, then everybody else is too. So let's cut back and do it.
And how did everybody respond?
They loved it. It was surprising, but they loved it. And we had fresh fruits, so they could have that. And like I say, it everybody's like, oh, this is different, but it's nice. Yeah. So
It didn't stop them from coming.
No.
In fact, there were no leftovers. And usually we have things left. So I said that was a good thing.
That was a good sign then, wasn't it?
It was encouraging.
Yeah. So, thinking then maybe the churches might be a good place to.
Well, out in the rural, I think that's the best place.
Now, do y'all live in a rural place?
So this is the city for us. This
This is the city, right?
And we are
18
about
miles.
18 miles. And when I say country, I grew up in Chicago. So I'm like, okay, you can still hear the
But still
crickets.
is more
Yeah.
nice than usually. People are little, you know.
Has it changed? Ernestine, you lived here for a long time?
Yeah. Oh, I was away for a long time, but I was raised here until I was 20. Yes. See, when people help each other years and years ago, if someone killed something, I had a beef or something, they always went around in that little community and gave everybody something, at least for one meal, you know. And if we had cabbages or collards or turnip, nobody else was ready, whoever came in first, they shared it with the whole community. Same way in the fall. We used to talk to our daddy after we got what we could, who was always afraid. We'd have us what we call scrapping peas, get the peas and things, bring them in and shell and things. And the people that had large families, they didn't do that. They come up, they got enough food for them meals. So it's just one of those things, potatoes and things like that. But it's a lot of sugar and potatoes now. Mm-hmm. So years ago,
But people don't do that now. Do they do that?
No. We had one family that they were still having a lot of fruit, a lot of vegetables and things. They always shared with the community. Now this year, they couldn't do too much because both of them were kind of sick. Mm-hmm. And then we have a few more youngsters like Timmy, they raised there. Mm-hmm. And quite a few more. We got about 4 or 5 more in the community that does that. Mm-hmm. Like Jenny Lee, Jenny Lee, Jackson John, yeah. Mr. Craig too. Mm-hmm.
I think that it would be a good idea. We've got so many young people who know nothing about farming, are living in these.
Well, how about cooking?
Cooking
That's
still
what I did too.
I would like to see, I told my mother that we need to start teaching home ec. Even in the churches, we need to start having, we have truck patches maybe near the church, and everybody can get that. And then teach them how to prepare for that. Canning is a lost art for the most part, because again, I didn't grow up here. I've learned how to do a lot of things since I've been, but it seems like nobody's interested in these things. If we started teaching them first, young people, maybe that would be skills.
Because they end up eating lunch meat or things like that. Now we see too much lunch meat stuff like that. And it's too much food processing. It's too much
And all this, like I said, all these chemicals have detrimental effects
come back
on
close.
one thing or another. And if you'll notice, a thing that I noticed here recently is that it seems in a lot of instances, high blood pressure and diabetes go hand in hand in the community, because you've got this and then you've also got this. So you're battling that in addition to everything else.
Exactly. Now, Ernestine, when you were young, growing up, what kind of activity did you have?
That's a good question.
What'd you do?
Climb, cutting dish baits and everything else. And then when anything else to do, we climbed trees like the boys and everything like that. Because we didn't visit that much until Sunday, you see. And we had swings and trees and then my daddy sent us out in the field. Go down there. There wasn't anything to do. We busted the cloths, dig up the little grass line. But we get down there and play, you see. And he knew that we didn't figure this out until we was grown almost. Keep you out of there a minute, see. And then you were playing half time, but we knew we had to do a certain amount to make a showing that we had did something. Now we didn't realize we were just putting it was something else. But like I said, and then your mother, you quilted, or we did pillowcases, embroidered, and cut out things like that. We can, and sometimes we can.
Now, did you walk to friends' house or neighbors, or how'd you get around?
Across the road. Well, they didn't let us go unless they were with us at they were going back to some of the other people. Now, a lot of people did, but we didn't do. Because we were right on the highway, like, still where we are now. And they mostly came to us. Usually the kids come to our house and play, because they knew where we were. And now, very few times I was almost in the school, 16 before we could go to the new baby. They were just behind us, but they had to come through the woods, so we didn't go. Until, like I said, Sundays and things passed, so we'd go by each other's house, and if we got there, I remember my cousin and I used to bake cakes and things, just playing around, you know, they had to keep you busy, something to keep you busy. Not for us.
She's told me that
Milk the cows, we had to milk the cows on Sunday evening.
a treat for them, and their grandmother would make them lemonade and things
That's
like
right.
that. And they look close.
That's right, yeah, my grandmother.
That's what I said, your grandmother, my grandmother had us right. She's always like, well, see, that's again something my grandmother's supposed to be break seamstresses. So I learned how to cut a pattern very early. But now, I don't think these kids would know what the pattern was when people walked through that time.
It'll come back.
Let me just ask you one last thing, and that's about you know, what are the young people doing today? I mean, you know,
Like her.
yeah. Well, I'm a little older. She's just a little one yet, but
Well,
are they having activity or?
you know,
No, I can see she's pretty active.
Because I noticed they're too busy with Nintendo and PlayStation bound. So therefore, they're going to always, this is part of the reason for the obesity. The cell phones, the texting, the video games, the computers even, because they don't go to do anything. They don't go
We don't have
outside
anything.
for anything. There's no swimming, there's no social centers, there's no basketball. And they play basketball on Nintendo now instead of going outside and play. And that's,
Is there any place here in Cab or in the community for them to go out and play?
yes, there are some softball teams in the area. With so many of the children just.
so that's where we had to send our oldest one down here to play basketball when they were playing.
Now, there's a lot of folks in the county that are pretty poor. They don't have a lot of extra money, and are they able to afford these games and things for their
They
children?
get
They have more than we do.
Now they have a gym at the Methodist Church up there,
Music.
Court. They have a nice vacation. They let my grandson come in and then they
It's interracial. They make everybody.
Right.
as long as they know the kids.
As long as they know that you're from a family, that you're not going to be destroying anybody, they do it. And they work together, and that's a good thing. We even had what we call Halloween activities. In fact, it started when Mr. Coleman was our pastor. That we had a Halloween night, and the kids came out. Instead of having them going around trick-or-treating, which usually resulted in toilet paper all over everybody's room. We started having this group session, and we had a mini roast and activities for them. We even had hay rides on the back of old wagons.
Yeah, that's right. My brother used to take them on the back bed.
So how do you think we could make a change, some positive change in the
We need to
community?
go back. I never thought I'd hear me say this. We need to go back to some of the old things. So we need
somebody to come in and teach them it's not right there in the community. Don't you think that?
Yes, definitely, because they'll receive it possibly better from an outsider, because they think that if you're there, you're minding their business.
So I would think it'd be better somebody in the switching from community.
And typically in many of the Appalachian regions, people say, you know, we don't want any outsiders.
I know we get all that on TV.
But now here, they accept
We have
Visiting strangers.
because they know you're going home.
Does that mean they don't have to be accountable?
Okay.
I know it needs to come even bring up, they need, and especially the young kids, for teaching them things. Now, like Jamie, now they got 13. Now, they're at home, they play around. But now, what the kind of things that are in there, trying to do, that's the new we go.
Do they have a boys and girls club?
No, we don't have it. We never get started.
One in Philadelphia, and that didn't get off the ground.
Really?
Now, my two of last younger kids, grandkids, they went to the Chopper school, so that summer they had camp. You see, so Darren didn't go. Darren didn't go, and they wanted to go back and teach the next year. But he's the one that graduated that went to high school now. He's he's gonna be in Columbia. He's in the war now. He's teaching gym and swimming. So he's coming back to finish his other 2 years of
So maybe we got some people that will play.
well, that's what he wants to get into.
See him.
Yeah, we have a whole 16 section man. We wouldn't have couldn't have some kind of something to get a big building to play basketball, because all of them want to play basketball.
Yeah.
Football.
The kids want to organize sports, but we've got to provide.
We don't have
This
any.
is- They've cut back so much in our school system. You don't have an arts appreciation anymore. You don't have you don't have a football like you don't have yearbooks anymore. A lot of these children learn a lot of skills doing that by being photographers
Right.
and doing yearbooks, how to compose, complete sentences and everything.
They gotta teach them that.
Common sense is not common anymore. I think that would be a good class.
Plus, they don't have any when you thing to do at home. They're supposed to have something to do when they come home. Projects or something to do. Just come home and sit and eat, and play the games and go back to sleep. But we always had our projects, so we had to do something every evening, every morning.
So maybe finding some ways to get kids involved in some projects.